Hey Sky, thank you for joining me.
Hi, Maya. Nice to see you.
Hi. I like that we're matching, handling each other. I invited you to come on today because I'm watching everyone's social media, all my students, of course, and I've noticed that you've really started to have a lot of traction, have a lot better brand identity. I see that you're really starting to use this method that I'm teaching as your main product and your main method. So I just wanted to ask you some questions so other people could find out more and find out what your perspective is. So just start out by telling me what drew you to this course? Why did you want to learn conversational hypnosis on top of all the modalities you already know and practice?
First off, thank you for having me here. And yeah, like what made me take the training course? So I was in a year-long program to get my life coaching certificate.
I
So
remember.
I had a big change in my career to go from business structure, sales, to wanting to help people. So I signed up for a life coaching school. And then personally, during that time, I was going through some difficulties. And so, one of my classmates had actually seen you, and she recommended
Yeah.
that I come to see you to discover what advanced conversational hypnosis was to try to help me through my challenges. And that's where, like, that was my first exposure to hypnosis of
Yeah.
any kind. And while I was going to school, I had those sessions with you, and it really just showed me a different side of like way of thinking and approach to this,
Yeah,
self-development
different how?
growth and
What did
um,
you notice different?
quicker, more
Yeah,
efficient.
that's right. More efficient, less bullshit.
Yeah, it
I'm
was just
calling
like,
it the no bullshit method now because I really want that to be the
yeah,
talking.
it was really straight to the point, and you asked questions that I
Yeah,
hadn't asked myself, that other people weren't asking me. And I
that's
had
right.
therapists and counselors and a whole army of methods to like try to get through things, and this was
Yeah,
just something that really stuck with me. So as I was going through my life coaching school, and then I had the opportunity to sign up with you and do the level 1 and then the level 2 after, and that is where I found my niche.
yeah,
Because while I was in life coaching school, I really felt like I knew I wanted to help people, but I didn't know how or what,
yeah,
like exactly how I was going to get there. So the ACH just like honed in on this one modality or tactic, and because I've seen it work for myself, I've seen it work for others. I've ran with it, and now that's all I do. So.
something that really caught my ear from what you just said was the questions nobody is willing to ask me. And I've had a whole army of people, but for some reason, people just don't get to the point. I mean,
Mhm.
that's very Ericksonian, in the line of this style that we're working with, which is to go to that place where I can hear you want to go, but you haven't gone. That's where
Mhm.
the hypnosis becomes interesting. So what I want to ask you about that is now that you've learned how to do that, is it easy? I mean, how do you, because I know what people are going to be watching and saying, like, well, how does she know? How does she know what to ask? Like, how did she figure that out? So I want to know from your perspective now that you know the principles and the method, like, is it hard to figure out? How do you do that with your own clients now?
It's funny. I've always thought I had two skills. One is being a really good listener, and the other thing is being curious about people and asking
Right.
questions. And I found I didn't realize it when I was having the sessions, but going through the training, like those are,
That's
you
right.
just
The
need
two
to
key skills, right?
listen and be curious. And that's
Yep.
how the questions come, and it comes naturally. And I've seen other people through demonstrations as well, just follow the line. It's kind of magical how naturally it happens, actually.
Isn't it? I mean, as you can see, I'm here in my glitter background because I do believe it's meant. I mean, that's how it feels to me. Like it's like entering a magical space, but it's super simple based on very easy to follow principles. So
Mhm.
were you able to learn it just in the weekend, that I taught it? Is that and was that sufficient to go out and use it?
Yeah, and that was one of the surprising things for me is that I was in this year-long life coaching school.
That's right.
You're like, well, you're gonna learn this crazy fast, efficient technique in 3 days.
Yeah. Well, it's really 2 days because I only teach the technique over 2, and then I teach the kind of social media business end on the 3rd day. So it's really 48, I mean, 12 hours, 2 days.
And most of it was demonstration.
Yeah.
Like,
And how did you find that? Because I think that's what's individuates my course from all the others. I don't spend the whole course teaching you history or reading through papers. It's really very experiential. So how did you find that?
I think that's what made it so impactful,
Yeah.
and for me as like a visual learner to see stuff actually happening instead of you explaining the
Yeah,
science. There is some background and you need to understand the basics of it.
of course.
But just seeing it and seeing it facilitated by yourself and then other students and all, different people taking time turns to be clients. Um, it was amazing some of the transformations that we saw in that short time with other people,
Yeah.
in this group, this group mindset.
It is kind of spectacular too, isn't it, that it's live on Zoom and
Mhm,
many of the people who are doing the demonstrations have never experienced it or done it before.
mhm.
I mean, were you surprised that it works?
I think, yeah, the first time I saw it, I was a bit cautious about how it would work in a group environment, like if, opening up in front of people and it's just a different format, but it was hugely impactful. And yeah, some of the breakthroughs in just half an hour or 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I think
So you
that's what made
mentioned,
the class special because you're really like I had already experienced it, but for people that haven't, like being able to like see,
right.
oh wow, this does work.
Well, and you were very smart to experience it first because once you know the feeling of it, it's really easy to get interested in it and, learn how to do it
And
more easily.
I can go back now too to things. I remember being so frustrated when my sessions with you, my brain would just go blank and I'd be like, I can't think of anything. And you're like, it's okay, like just keep going. And I'm like, I don't know why my brain's frozen.
Yeah, and do you understand it now?
Oh, I do understand it now. Yeah. And I remember
Right.
too you asking like some really tough questions to our earlier point. And a few times I got frustrated. I was like, why is she asking me this? Like, God.
Which goes to my one of my principles, which is I'm not here for people to like me. I'm not here
Yeah.
for babying. I'm not doing armchair therapy. I really am there for the transformation. So I'm willing to wager quite a bit, really. So I like that you said it frustrated me, and some parts of it I wanted to push back on, and that's great. That's, it shows you that it's working. So how has it changed I mean, because you're an entrepreneur, you're, living this cool life, self-designed life. I don't know how much you want to tell people about it, but, you've really gone out on your own. So what has learning this done for your business? What has it done for your ability to really help people?
Yeah, I'll share a little bit. I left an 18-year loving marriage
Yeah.
and packed up all my stuff and drove to Mexico. And I live here now. So I changed career, relationship status, country, everything.
Yeah.
And
Identity.
identity, yeah, everything. And I knew that helping people in that sort of path I was going down, life coaching was a big part of like my transition to just a different way of living. And then when I discovered your course in ACH and that I could use this modality within what I'm doing in an efficient way and help people quickly,
Yeah.
um, I was actually discussing it with someone recently, and I'm like, it's not like it's you have to keep finding clients because you don't want that, like
Right.
you
You don't
said,
want them to keep coming.
therapist, like, well, you got to keep booking 6 months out, we need to keep you in here every week or every two. I think it's rewarding when you don't have to talk to people again. They're doing
Yeah,
it.
exactly. So we're not doing like a six pack. We're not doing a 12 pack. We're really doing a come in, figure out the problem, and go home, send me your referrals type of
Mhm,
model.
mhm. Yeah,
Does
it's
it
just sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, it's just helped give me confidence in this, direction that I've gone because
Yeah.
it's given me, a really, like, concise, formulated way to help people. It's
Yep,
not
concise and formulated.
not giving advice, like, that takes a
Yep.
lot of pressure off.
Yeah, and no solutions on our side.
Mm,
How does
yeah.
that differ from everybody else or all the other approaches?
Yeah, and that's what I've always found is, like, when I was even going into this is, like, I don't wanna give advice, I don't wanna
Yeah,
tell people what to do, like, I wanna empower them to find it, and that is a big difference in this, and I
huge
tell people that
difference.
when I have a consultation, like, I don't give advice, I don't give suggestions, all the
No
answers you
affirmations, no
do.
scripts.
It does lie within, the subconscious of all of our clients, all of us.
And isn't it weird now that you're trained in this and now that that's obvious to you? Isn't it weird to even think that a stranger, educated though we might be, could ever solve somebody else's problem, given that we don't know how the problems were generated to begin with?
Yeah, and there's so many assumptions that we all
Yeah,
have, which is another reason you can't
that's
because you
right.
have a certain experience and were
Bias.
traumatized or hurt in a way, you become biased.
That's right.
Um, just because something's worked for you doesn't mean it's going to work for someone else, and that's why, yeah, this method is so impactful because it's really going with what the client needs and what their subconscious is telling them.
Does it take pressure off of you as the practitioner? Has it made it easier for you to do your
Yeah,
work?
100%. And even the train of thought that you talk about in the training is, not to be um bias, like put your personal opinions inside and just follow the curiosity of like how they're answering and go down the different trails to see
Yeah,
where things are sticking or where it's resonating with them.
exactly.
It's just like it's like an adventure. It's not, you don't
Yeah,
have, like if you walk into a session and you're like, I think this client should not be with their partner anymore. Like you've
yeah,
already destroyed the whole session.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And I mean, just tell everybody, since many people don't know how this works, what happens to a client's subconscious when you make an assumption or come to the table with your therapeutic solution? Then what happens to them?
Protest behavior,
Right.
like shut down, they could get angry.
Yeah. And their subconscious basically usually just shuts off because it feels that you're there to mess with it. And so I think that's a really huge hurdle that we circumvent, that traditional therapy always gets stuck in or tends to get stuck in,
Yeah,
which
no.
answers the question for people, why is it fast? Well, one reason it's fast is because we bypass that resistance, which takes up to decades for some people to overcome.
Mhm.
Have you found it hard to transition to that kind of principle?
The principle of
The principle of like, we're not here to solve and the
mm,
subconscious. I mean, I guess I'm asking, have you found it hard to go from something like life coaching into hypnosis? Because it's really
no.
that's the difference kind of.
I did give it a bit of thought. No. Um,
She's like, is she doing, are we doing ACH now?
I know. I just looked off. Um, no, absolutely not, because like you said, it just takes the pressure off. And I think like the most rewarding thing is when you see a client have those moments and they're like, oh, that's why I think that way, or that's why I do that. And
And
you
isn't
didn't
it true
tell
that
them
that's
that.
exactly, you didn't tell them that. Isn't it true that it's also instantaneous? Like people say it to me all the time, like, well, I don't believe that it can happen in a flash or that. But isn't it true that the method really gives itself over to that moment and then you see it as the practitioner and then you feed into it and grow it until it really becomes very permanent for them?
I can share something from my sessions with you. Like one of the knots that we untied in my subconscious was like I had this limiting belief that I shouldn't talk very highly of myself. Like
Right. Oh, I remember that.
I
Mhm.
shouldn't be like overly like proud, and I
Yeah.
should be humble. And I had like really ran with this idea as an adult. And so I wouldn't talk highly of myself. So I was looking for external validation because I was
Right.
giving myself, and then that external validation was causing relationship challenges. But once I remember the moment, and you were even like, where did you learn that? I won't get into like too many details, but I remember like, oh, I think
Yeah.
it like not very ladylike to talk about yourself like in that way. And now you'll hear me, I'm like, I'm so effing proud of myself. Like, sorry.
No,
um,
I like it.
I'll, I'll gladly boast about myself, and I cheer when I hear other people say that they're proud of themselves for
Yeah,
whatever their accomplishment is. And so, like that was, yeah, one of my
I
moments.
love it.
I had.
Isn't that the premise of your business now too, to help other women, I think
Find
mainly
their confidence.
find the same voice, which is like,
Mm,
yeah, this is what I've been through, this is my story, and this is what I'm building on top of it.
yeah, helping me a couple years ago. That's
Yeah, I get that. Right. So you're becoming the person that you've always needed to go and see. I want to just ask you about the economics of it because I know you've been in business for yourself. I know you've done well in other sectors. So what's the difference between this kind of traditional model of, 80 or 100 or 150 bucks to see me as many times as, is needed or whatever, which I think you were into at some point, and this model of selling the results, selling the change? How does that change your ability to do business and your ability to, work inside of your company?
I think the original thought I had before I started was, oh, that's scary
Yeah,
because you don't have that comfort, like that cushion of, okay, well, I'm going to keep seeing this person for 6 months or a year, especially in life coaching. Like that's very common.
right.
Um, but then once you get started, I actually find it's given me more confidence because I'm not worried. Well, what am I going to talk about with this person in 3 months when we've already talked about most of their issues? Now it's like, I want to fix your problem, and I don't want you to have to come see me again unless it's about something else.
Right.
So actually, I feel like it's given me a lot more confidence in this structure and like what I'm selling, and takes pressure off of how many metaphor tools do I have over the next 6 months to
Yeah, and
be.
how much homework am I going to have to give? And how many times are we going to have to circle around the same conversation? Which, let's
Mhm.
be honest, it does get exhausting for us as practitioners. Not that we don't want to listen to everybody, but once you've heard a story and again and again, and then the same, another client and again, it starts to be a lot of mental chatter, which I think wears out the vast majority of traditional therapists.
And I think for me, because we don't have to like write up homework and
Yeah.
all that
Record
stuff.
audios.
My pre and post work or warm up or cool down is like everything. It's the spirituality, it's the follow
That's right. Being
something,
yourself.
exercise,
Yes,
meditation, like sleeping well, eating
that's
well.
right.
Like I have to be in
That's right. And by
all.
the way, I want to like pause right here because to me, what you just said is like pure gold. And I'm going to cut this into a social media post because it's so important. Like everybody wants to know, Maya, what's your secret? How do you pull this off? What's the magic? Like, and it's really hard to explain how being resourced myself is the premise of me being able to do it. Like me being rested, me being exercised, everything you just said. And isn't it interesting that that's really the job? Like here we can talk about self-development and everything all day and then tell people go take care of yourselves, but we're all strung out therapists who have no time and who are, stuffing our face because we don't have time. Like it's really hypocrisy going on there. So isn't it interesting to come on a model where really to do hypnosis correctly, to really perform it, you have to walk this walk that you're talking, which is do all those things that we've heard about forever, but haven't really implemented.
Mhm.
That was a long
Yeah.
commentary, but did it make sense? Is that
Yeah,
what you were getting at?
it's a holistic approach,
Yeah.
and even like you said with our clients, the ACH is a incredibly powerful tool,
Yeah.
and people need like all levels of their life, healthy relationships,
Yes.
healthy relationship with body and food and exercise and sleep and all those things.
Yeah.
And I remember in level 1, you did bring this up and you said, like, I take time to take care of myself. And that's part of like feeding that my energy for sessions. And you talked about the spa and like going to get your hair done or whatever your thing is. And like I went and got my nails painted
Yeah.
this week and I usually paint them myself, but I'm
Right.
trying to like do more things. Like if you feel good,
That's right. But
that's what
isn't it true that, like, I don't want to make it sound like like we're hedonists. Like, isn't it true that the one thing that's super required to do the transformation effectively and fast is your level of alertness and your level of presence? Isn't that truly like the requirement? And isn't it true? I don't know if you've done enough sessions to know yet that when you're a little tired or cranky or whatever, that's what affects the outcome the most, not like, did I do you know, did I ask the right thing or did I follow the right steps? Isn't that truly the kind of gas underneath this whole thing?
Yeah, like if it's, 60, 90, 2.5 hours, you need to be
Exactly.
like fully, like,
Engaged.
don't
That's
even
right.
like look away to look at the clock or anything.
It's true. I just don't want people to think like, oh, that sounds so easy. Like, no, no, it takes energy, it takes attention, but it's also a different kind, a
Mm.
different mentality of attention.
You're holding an energetic,
Yeah.
safe space, and
Yeah.
it's a powerful space once it gets going. I
Okay.
wouldn't
And
say it's easy to do.
I wouldn't say it's easy. Well, that's what I want to say though. I wouldn't say it's easy, but is it easy to learn?
Yes, yeah.
Isn't that the cool
You have
kind of,
patience, yeah, yeah.
yeah, have patience. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, what kind of person is really meant for this, do you think?
Someone that wants to help people, I think, like in whatever field it is. I mean, for me, it started with like from a business, complete career in business to wanting to help people and trying to find a space that I could do that without going to school for 4 to 8 years. And so I found it.
Love that. Me too. I was a real estate. You know that we have similar stories. I was a real estate agent. I always knew that the soul calling was kind of my destiny, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I got a PhD. That wasn't it. Couldn't quite put my finger on it. And I feel the same as you, like, oh, here's something that really uses all of the things I know and my innate energetic.
Yeah.
What do you
Uh,
think? I mean, since you come from the corporate world, what do you think of using this in a sales setting or for people who do things like hairdresser or, I mean, I know a lot of real estate agents. What do you think of using the hypnosis in that kind of setting?
like as them as clients.
No, as learning it.
Oh, I mean, I think
I never
anyone,
thought of that, right? Okay, we
yeah,
need to talk about it.
I think anyone that has the passion and curiosity for this can do it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I just
I
see it as a skill you
You
could
do
use
have
like
to have the passion for it, like,
yeah.
yeah.
I can see it as something we could use in the sales world, in the corporate world.
Oh, yeah, I managed a sales team, and there's that show Billions, and they've got I forget her name, but they have a psychologist on team, and she works with the team to, like, overcome these limiting beliefs that she has, and
Exactly.
definitely, I could see, like, something like this modality, ACH, could be beneficial to sales teams.
I could
Get them
see
over their humps.
you could do some consulting in that area. I could see that. Is this a business that you're going to live on? Is this a main business?
This is my this
Yeah.
is my passion, this is my career. I
I
don't really have any other plans right now. This is what I'm giving everything into.
I love that. Well,
Yeah,
join the club.
I
We
know.
well, we need more people. I think there's like a vast shortage of professionals who do our kind of work. So I'm really glad that you're joining, and I'm really glad to have you, and I'm glad you're out there helping people. So what else do you want to say? Is there anything you want to add? Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you want to share? Is it fun? Like, do you find it enjoyable?
It is. It's very rewarding.
Yeah.
It's, I think one of the, just an addition off that question was unexpected benefits to myself is
Yeah.
doesn't matter who the client is, like gender, age, background, what their problem is that they're coming to me about. There's always something reflecting back to me from my life, like something I've struggled with, or maybe that I am kind of going through, and then they're going like there's this weird
That
mirror.
reciprocity. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really so I always actually learn something from myself because
Yeah.
sometimes after a session, I'll ask myself some of the same questions that I ask them. I'm like, how would I answer that with this sort of similar challenge that I've had? And
I
I
have
found
to tell
some
you,
training. Yeah.
I have to tell you, I love what you just said, because after half a decade of doing it, which is seems impossible to me because I feel like I just started, but it's been a while now. And I can see that the way the clients have come to me in patterns have reflected the challenges in my life. So I don't know how to explain that on a quantum level, but I think what you're saying is correct, that there's some attraction going on where I can help them better as they so I'm just bringing that up not to be woo-woo, but to say people are always asking, well, why would somebody choose me over Maya? Or why would somebody choose Sky? That's why, because there's some kind of relationship and reciprocity needed, and each practitioner has a different offering, at a different moment. So that's why we need many different people holding this role so that
Mhm.
there's choices like that.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily come down to, oh, well, that person has the most experience or something like that.
No, there's an exchange of energy, and like both parties are picking up and feeding off of each other. That's why we both get into trance sometimes.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're all, just to be clear, we're always both in trance, the client and the practitioner. And that's what I teach in the course. I mean, is just how to use the conversation, how to use the questions to create the trance instead of faking the trance, which is how traditional hypnosis has been taught for really decades and centuries. And that's why it's fun, and that's why it's easy, because really the trance is a natural byproduct of investigation. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you're doing it. I'm so happy you're in the course. Thanks for joining me for the interview. Is there anything else you want to say? I kind of asked you that before and then I brought something up,
Yeah,
so I'll
yeah.
ask
I
you
got
again.
something up too. I think, yeah, just like from someone that's had such a huge change in their career and life, I like if people are thinking, is this course right for me? If you have that genuine passion to help people, and you're taking care of yourself, and you can hold space, and you have a curiosity for people, and you can just follow those questions unbiased, then I don't think there's any hesitation in like if you should take the course or not. From my perspective, like you learn a lot about yourself too through it.
You. Thank you so much. That's exactly what I want to be giving the world, is like something to do and something to learn about yourself. So that's like very affirming to me to hear that that's the result you got. So it makes me cry a little. So thanks for sharing that.
Thank you, Maya.
Thank you for coming on. I know you have to get back to the beach, so I'll let you do that and get back to creating your social media. Oh yeah, I wanted to say too, like congratulations, because it looks great. So that's another thing we go over in the course, is how to find that niche, how to create that media. And that's why I wanted you on for the interview today, because you're doing all of that. So amazing.
Be the person you needed a couple years ago.
That's right. I love that. Thank you so much, Sky. You're so inspiring. I'm really happy I had you on today. I will see you back in the course, and thanks for watching.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Sky.